The Battle for Heeth, Memoirs of a Helldiver. The pristine, cold, and crisp world of Heeth stood frozen in time, a glacial expanse untouched by the ravages of humanity's wars, now transformed into a battleground. An eerie glow bathed the war-torn battlefield below, where the fight for survival raged with relentless intensity. The icy, battle-scarred landscape was a silent witness to a conflict that threatened the future of mankind. Over 7,500 Helldivers, elite soldiers forged in the crucible of war, had come to this forsaken world. Their mission was clear: sever the Terminid alien strategic foothold and halt their unyielding assault on humanity. The stakes couldn't be higher. Heeth was a vital stronghold for the Terminids, a gateway to Super Earth and the last line of defense for human survival. At the edge of a shattered ridge, Star Marshal Vincent Grimickles stood, his battle-worn armor caked in frost and alien blood. The bitter, acrid stench of burnt metal and death filled the air, mixing with the sharp, biting cold that defined Heeth's eternal winter. His squad, the Blackfall Six, had been fighting for 72 hours, pushing forward inch by grueling inch against the unrelenting swarm of grotesque insectoid Terminids. Their razor-sharp mandibles snapped, their organic claws slashed through armor and flesh with chilling efficiency, and their venomous bile burned like acid. Grimickles, Blackfall 6, hold the line. Reinforcements are en route. Just buy them time. We can't let them breach this ridge. Behind him, Corporal Maria Lynn fired her plasma rifle with surgical precision, each shot finding its mark amid the Terminid horde. She moved with the kind of deadly focus that had kept her alive for this long. Beside her, Private Caleb Ortez was hunched over a heavy turret, his face locked in a grim mask of determination as his weapon rumbled in his hands, mowing down wave after wave of Terminids. But even the strength of the Helldiver's firepower was no match for the relentless swarm of Terminids charging forward, closing the distance between them faster than they could fire. Grimmickles' mind was heavy with the weight of their mission. He could still hear the voice of High Command echoing in his mind. Heeth was more than a battlefield. It was a choke point. If the Terminids maintained control here, they would have a direct path to Super Earth. The war had already claimed 30 million Helldivers, 30 million lives, brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters, each one extinguished in the cold void of battle. The weight of their loss was unbearable. 30 million Helldivers lost, each name etched into the endless memorial walls back home, each life extinguished so others might have a chance. Families, empty chairs, lost laughter. It was hard to reconcile survival with such loss. The pain lingered long after the battle ended. The ground trembled as the Terminid behemoth emerged from the smoke, a massive, hulking figure that towered over the battlefield. Its organic claws, as large as human arms, were capable of rending even the toughest armor in an instant. Its mandibles clicked in anticipation, saliva dripping from its jagged mouth. This beast did not need weapons, its body was the weapon. The Terminid was a predator of the highest order, honed for the sole purpose of annihilation. Focus fire on the behemoth. The Blackfall Six opened fire. Marshal! Incoming! Plasma bolts, railgun shots, and rockets tore into the behemoth's thick exoskeleton. But the creature was relentless, its mandibles tearing through the air as it advanced, its claws slicing through the front lines. It roared in fury as it swiped at the soldiers, sending debris flying. Grimmickles dove for cover, while narrowly avoiding the strike that would have cleaved him in two. The warning systems on his armor blared as they registered critical damage, but he didn't flinch. Fear clawed at him, but he shoved it down. Fear had no place here. There was only survival. Above them, the hum of dropships filled the air as they streaked across the atmosphere. Their contrails glowed like streaking stars in the pale sky. Help was on the way. The dropships deployed fresh Helldivers and supply pods, their landing zones immediately coming under fire. But the newly arrived troops, seasoned soldiers hardened by the war, joined the fray without hesitation. Among them was Sergeant Malik Vega, a man whose eyes burned with fury, his body a vessel of righteous vengeance. He led his squad into the thick of battle, his energy blade cutting down any Terminid foolish enough to venture too close. The tide began to turn, but the cost was steep. For every Terminid that fell, a helldiver went with it. Their bodies were torn apart by the Terminid's claws, mandibles, and venomous bile, which splashed and sizzled on anything it touched. The sounds of battle rang in their ears, the screams of dying comrades, the wet, sickening thud of Terminid's claws tearing through metal, the crackle of comms filled with anguish. Grimickles felt the weight of each loss, each fallen soldier adding another crushing burden to his shoulders. The faces of the fallen, Zara, Caleb, Maria, flashed before his eyes, but there was no time for grief. Not yet. By the time nightfall came, the Terminid forces had begun to falter. Their numbers had thinned, the behemoth lay dead, a smoking ruin on the frozen ground. Grimickles surveyed the battlefield, his heart heavy with both relief and grief. Among the fallen, he spotted Zara, her lifeless body cradling her rifle, the very rifle she had used to hold the line. She held the line. She saved us all. We'll honor her sacrifice. We'll honor them all. As the survivors of the Blackfall 6 regrouped, a somber silence fell over the battlefield. The victory on Heeth was hard won, but it was only one step in a war that seemed endless. And for the Helldivers, there was no respite, no time to mourn. Back on Super Earth, the news of their victory reached the masses, but it was a bittersweet victory. Vigils were held in every city. The names of the fallen were read aloud in solemn ceremonies, and the weight of 30 million lost Helldivers pressed heavily on humanity's collective heart. The people of Super Earth stood united, their will unbroken. They would support their warriors, no matter the cost. On Heeth, as the first rays of dawn broke through the icy haze, Grimickles and his surviving squad stood, preparing for the next battle. The war was far from over, but they would fight on. They had to. Humanity's future depended on it. Carrying with them the memories of the fallen, their courage and sacrifice etched into the very souls of the survivors. There would be no time for mourning, not yet. There was only the war and the fight to save humanity.